and welcome to Outside the Box, edition 350. I'm Alex Ansary. At the moment of recording, it's June 3rd, 2015. Coming to you from sunny southern Colorado, under a tree at the moment in a backyard in a quiet little town called Trinidad, Colorado. And life's been good since I departed Portland well over a month ago. There's plenty I could share. There's plenty I could talk about, but in a way I'm kind of basking in the silence at the moment. So this week, instead of it being one video, it's going to be a combination of different videos that I've already uploaded to YouTube, and perhaps I'll have a little fun editing here and there to bring you a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of enlightenment, a few things to think about. Outside the Box TV is a weekly series on Portland Community Media. Is going to come to a close in a couple of weeks. I'm not renewing the series because Portland is now thousands of miles away from me, and I'm focusing my attention on other things throughout the day. My email is alex_ansary@hotmail.com. That's alex_ansary, ANSARY, at hotmail.com. That's, you can contact me, and again, you can follow me on Facebook and find me at YouTube, youtube.com/Alex Ansary, and also my prior work elsewhere on the web. But that is an announcement that the weekly series is going to be coming to a close in a couple of weeks. Now, without further ado, I bring you Outside the Box, edition 350. Enjoy. Okay. It would appear to me that this is the military equipment that is being transported from Fort Carson down to the Pinon Canyon military site. All right, we're going to pull over, get another look. Okay, this is a rest stop along I-25, right next to Trinidad, Colorado. Okay, we're going to take a closer look. The Stryker vehicles are here as well. This is not the whole convoy. The whole exercise, greater focus, is to take place between the 26th and the 30th. Today's the 27th of May, 2015. And send the report that they're going to be coming in increments of 15 to 30 vehicles. And looks like that's what this is. I'm not sure what that little box is. Perhaps it's some for communications. Looks like a few vehicles are moving out. So Raider Focus is a deployment drill. It's the largest convoy since World War II. And these guys have just got done traveling from Fort Carson to where we are now at this rest stop in Trinidad, Colorado. They have another 45 minutes to go to the Pinon Canyon training site, which is a sister site to Fort Carson. Now, Pinon Canyon is a military training range, and they have been gobbling up a lot of land from ranchers. And a simple Google search, a simple YouTube search will show how frustrated some people are that they've lost their land to the military. The Pinon training site is in that direction east of Trinidad by about 40 miles. And it's there where they have their own artificial Iraqi city for years. And they are going to be using a lot more drones, weaponized drones, at this particular facility, the Pinon Canyon site. So there's already a lot going on over there, and they want to have control over the airspace. They don't want any aircraft over that particular area because they want to be able to use the full-on weaponized drones. And so the locals are upset. They're hearing their explosions. Their soil is being contaminated by the uranium. It's a big concern for a lot of people that live in the region. Even if they have a favorable view of the U.S. government, federal government, or U.S. military, or our foreign policy. What people don't like is when it ends up in their own backyard. So, this is part of the convoy. It is about 8:30 in the morning, and right now it looks like they're moving out. And that would be the last vehicle right there. It's important that everybody knows that there are many drills taking place on a global level. Not just here, not just Jade Helm 15, not just Raider Focus. Russia has a drill taking place, massive. Air Force defense drill involving over 12,000 troops. So Raider Focus is a drill for deployment Russia has a drill where they're defending themselves. Iran is also doing a number of drills. So is North Korea. So is Britain. Meanwhile, more and more Russian bombers are entering Western or European aerospace, and nothing's done about it. It almost seems like there's a level of coordination to all this. Okay, we're going to take a closer look at the town of Trinidad from this perch that I'm on right now. I am up here at the hilltop site overlooking Trinidad. The skies are very blue this morning. I have yet to actually visit that mountain by foot or car, but I think that should happen someday. Perhaps this summer. Looking down here at the town, maybe I'll give you a closer look. You can see how green the trees are. We have a dog barking at us, I'm sure. I'm sure he's barking at me. Hey, what are you doing up there? Now, this is the residential portion of town. This is your commercial part of downtown. Downtown Trinidad, right there. See the surrounding hills, the surrounding areas? Some amazing off-the-grid locations. There is a co-op here in town. It's, you know, it's a town like a lot of other small towns. It's simple. It has a couple grocery stores. I think it has 5 dispensaries. You know, I try not to go out too much. I enjoy just being here, but I try for the most part to stay away from people, especially people that are stuck in their bubbles. But I feel a sense of healing here in general, especially being up here on the hill. And that is the Sangre de Cristo Mountains over there. And you can see those from the San Luis Valley, from those off-the-grid locations. So it's nice to see it from this side, where I'm used to seeing it from the other side. I'm used to being on the other side of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Some sort of a obelisk looking here, with the capstone broken off. Trinidad, Colorado's got a lot of history. Some of you can tell me about it. You can just do a Wikipedia search. One time there was a strike here and they sent out the National Guard to kill the strike workers. I'm not kidding about that, actually. Not to mention the Native American history, not to mention, you know, the kind of, I don't know if I'd call it a military town, but it's definitely that kind of an area. Training bases nearby Pinon Canyon. But I guess, you know, it is worth mentioning that quite a few ranchers out there are not big fans of what the government's been doing, which is now looking at launching weaponized drones over that region. Sometimes I wonder if that's why there's less geoengineering in this particular area. Skies are a little bluer than what I'm used to seeing. But this is the town of Trinidad, Colorado. I'm sure there are people that may watch this video that live here, that are more familiar with Trinidad, that are very proud of their school, very proud of their university, very proud of their downtown and, you know, the little world that they have built for themselves, you know, in society. I more or less am steering the focus on the beautiful earth. Not so much society, but this part of the planet. The part of the earth that the Native Americans respected, that lived here before current civilization. The part of the earth that probably had some amazing things take place a very, very long time ago. You know, Mount Blanca's over there in the San Luis Valley, and it blew its top a long time ago. And I speculated while being out here whether or not that there was an ancient land or a very different terrain. And I've also heard it said that this area was ocean millions of years ago. So there's a lot of very interesting history. By the way, when I was in, where was I? Well, I believe I was in Texas. I was at a state park where there were dinosaur bones in Texas. So here in the United States, this land that we live on now, it has a lot of history, a lot of volcanic eruptions, other forms of life that lived here in the past. But it also raises other questions as to what life could be like on the planet in the distant future, with so many things potentially taking place. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Alex Ansary here, signing off from Southern Colorado. I'm going to talk a little bit about why there are so many drills taking place on the planet. Not just war game drills, not just terrorism drills, but drills relating to troops responding to natural disasters. And some drills are joint drills where they have different governments working together. One point about all these terror drills that the U.S. has seen, all you have to do is just point your finger, or all they have to do in today's society, and say that person's a terrorist, and implement what they learned in that drill towards that particular group they've deemed a terrorist organization. So this has been alarming for some time. Don't lose your head over September, because we've been in a pretty sick, demented society for a while. You may be having an awakening now that we're in that type of a society. Definitely a lot of stuff that we should be exposing and working to change, and working to shine the light on, not just observe and be freaked out. But there are people that do get freaked out every couple of years at some of these drills that are large scale, like NLE-09, like some of the drills that related to preparations for a massive earthquake. I've talked about Top Off 4, which occurred in Portland, Oregon in 2007. That was coordinated with multiple cities. And there were multiple people that were predicting that, back in 2007, they were going to blow Portland up in another 9/11 false flag event. It doesn't mean that false flags don't exist. Really poor false flag predictions, just spending one's whole life, like a chunk of one's lifetime, predicting when it all begins, to me is an empty life, and it's what a lot of people do. And they do that more than they do, for example, videos about living off the grid. I'm not a perfect example. I don't have all the answers. That's not where I'm going with this. But more people spend time with false predictions than going off grid, and that's a fact, Jack. Because in their mind, from what I've seen, it's just another excuse why they can't do it, because the government will come in and stop them. So let's talk about the topic of this drill. The global drills. All the stuff going on. Well, they're doing it during solar maximum. During a period where people are going to be reactive, they're already getting in fights, they're already having meltdowns, they're already having suicidal thoughts if they're out of balance. Some of them are already doing a lot of drugs. So they launch events. And people react to those staged events. And so there's a reason why some of the staged events are taking place during this period of time, but also the drills. The drills are to get people battle ready, psychologically. To the people of China, the people of America are the enemy. To the people of Russia, the people of America are the enemy. To the people of America, ISIS is the enemy. The Afghans are the enemy. The Iraqis are the enemy. At one point, they'll say that China and Russia are enemies, but we'll be at a point where we're depleted on a military level, on an economic level. The power to the punch of the U.S. military won't be there at that time. At the very least, the power to the punch of the foreign militaries will be there in the coming years, in the post-2020s, all thanks to Western technology. This coming staged world war is all by design. So these drills you're seeing take place, not just Jade Helm, not just Raider Focus, but the drills Russia's doing. Massive air defense drill involving over 12,000 soldiers. There are people there, 59%, believe that America is interested in invading them. You see, the problem is there are too many people out there that see the aggression of the U.S. military, and they bolt the lie. They've bought it hook, line, and sinker, just like some people think Obama's behind this whole thing by himself. They forget America didn't carve up the Middle East by itself without other countries agreeing to it. And you have other countries that are agreeing to take their slice of the apple pie. The oil pipeline in Afghanistan, China's got it. You don't think Russia isn't benefiting from the heroin coming out of Afghanistan with all the junkies in Russia? Give me a break. This has been ongoing for a long time. These countries trying to wedge their way into Afghanistan and other countries to extract their resources. What you've got now is a global mafia. That's right, you've got yourself a global mafia that has figured out how to somewhat, for now, peacefully carve up the pie. But bankers staging wars and controlling both sides is not a new concept. So, these drills taking place, it's all building up to get people in the mindset. In some cases, it takes years to really build up a whole nation as the enemy. And they're really amping things up for World War III. It's not going to happen tomorrow. My prediction for September is that the internet will still work. Things will still be functioning on a certain level. There may be some economic bumps with a 7-year cycle, but all this is building and building and building for something really huge, which will likely lead to the occupation of American soil with the help of those that are in control of Washington, D.C. They may go by name as president or senator or this, that, or the other, but there are many people in our own government that have sold us out a long time ago and have taken money from foreign governments. Now all this information is coming out about the Clinton Foundation, how Russia has for years been securing their own access to uranium through donations to the Clinton Foundation. Many deals have been made between Bill and Hillary Clinton and the Russian government. That's just one example of hundreds that need to be exposed. The drills taking place involving many governments, Western, European, Asian, Russian, as well as India, as well as Iran. It's all there to get people battle ready. And in the mentality of being ready for World War III, fighting whole-on nations, and knowing what they know about how mankind reacts violently at times when we're at a solar maximum period. They know what they're doing, and there's a reason that they have focused all this attention towards September. What they'd like to see is for people to just start losing their and doing things on their own, to start this war, to get things going, to get troops to start shooting at other troops, or to get people to start blowing things up. Right now, they've got a bunch of Americans on a wild goose chase to go and fight ISIS. I have seen confirmation after confirmation after confirmation that man is easily duped into false wars during solar maximum periods. So if you're looking for a real answer to why all these drills are taking place, it's really a massive psychological operation to get people battle ready and willing to pick up a gun and fight, and not necessarily tomorrow or this month or this year, but at some point in the future. The PSYOPs is multi-year and multi-decade. I'm Alex Ansary, signing off from Southern Colorado. And we are going down the hill. That's an interesting stack of rocks over there, flat rocks, large flat rocks. So I was thinking that this land was ancient Anasazi land, but someone actually said it was Navajo. It definitely has its history. Water facility. So just so you know, this isn't the Rocky Mountains. This is southern Colorado. This is not the San Luis Valley. There's plenty of clues as to where I am. It's a beautiful part of the planet. Glad I can be here to experience it. Many more videos to come from the top of the hill. Alex Ansary here, coming to you from southern Colorado, May 25th, 2015. And I believe that what we're seeing in the news with some of these cases where mothers are killing their male children, female as well, but I'm in particular seeing a rise in stories relating to dark feminine rising. And other stories involving people ripping off their clothes, male and female, and doing pretty incredibly insane things in subways. Why subways? Why have we seen so many crazy things in subways? That's a question one person can ask. But I will say that I've seen a rise in this behavior over the course of the last couple of years. And we have entered the last solar cycle the last couple of years. You know, you can look at certain ghost hunting groups out there that strategize. And when they go out to record certain things, a lot of them do it on the eve or the night of a geomagnetic storm. There's something about the electromagnetic spectrum relating to not only solar flares, but also Wi-Fi, cell phone towers. I've seen a lot of people talking to themselves in libraries, which are pretty well known for having lightning speed Wi-Fi. Most of them, that is, except some in pretty far out rural communities. So there's this term electromagnetic pollution, and it's this band. Electromagnetism is both natural and unnatural, and there's something about electromagnetism that has something to do with the spirit world, and when people are out of balance, unhealthy, ungrounded, and eating foods that weaken their field, weaken their own electromagnetism, also known as aura, and people are polluting their minds, weakening other aspects of themselves through drinking the wrong things, eating the wrong things. They're easier to control when their energy system is compromised. We're seeing a lot of people today, in this day and age, with their energy systems compromised, whether they be in rural communities or cities, but from the perspective of the observer, the one perceiving this reality, either you or me, the individual, we can, speaking for myself, come across a lot more of that dark spiritual energy in the cities because there's simply more people that are under a certain form of hypnosis and experiencing a certain sense of spiritual bankruptcy. So one of my passions for nature comes from the ability to be separate from some of that madness. And I can feel it, and I can pick up on it. And I'm noticing patterns in the last couple of days. It comes in waves. It's cyclical. It's not some linear point A to point B, something from the Western mind. And there's a lot of linearists in today's society that only look at reality through a black and white reality, through the lens of the Western mind, without understanding the cyclical nature of things, the highs and lows, the ups and downs. And so there are periods, and I think some of you that are older that may have studied some of these things a long time ago may have noticed other periods in other cities where it seemed like people were coming unhinged or a little possessed, where things seemed a little demonic. And I suspect, and I feel I'm sharing that in this video, that some of the stuff comes in waves. Possessions, certain forms of psychosis. Now, there is a link with schizophrenia and geomagnetic storms. There's something about the veil being lifted at this time when you have a thinning Earth's magnetic field, when you have other changes taking place with magnetics, magnetic north moving, something I've mentioned many times before in reference to changes in the weather, but there's something changing within psyche, the psyche of mankind, perhaps on a collective scale. You know, we have magnetite in our brain. It's what pigeons and birds use to travel this planet using the Earth's magnetic field. Well, that hardware is built into humans as well. So there are people out there going, there's something seems to be happening. It's like we're on the cusp of something. It's like some portals opened and a whole world of evil has been let through. And I agree. And I think that the changes that we're seeing with the sun, with the magnetic field, are playing a big role in that. And it's not entirely negative. It's not just one-sided. It's not just about this cycle being about some pit of hell opening. There's also awareness opening. When something opens, a lot of things come through with it. And so people on this planet that have already been in somewhat of a trance, who are open to possession, who are doing certain substances, although I don't think you have to be a drug addict to be someone that can be possessed. But it can help. It can help those entities possess that human body when they have someone so intoxicated, so out of their mind, so obliviated, that they don't even realize that there's another influence that's just stepping into their place, going, okay, all right, I've got a human form for a little bit, it's time to party. And I have seen so many people in Portland, which is at a certain part of the planet where I think has a high concentration of a certain spiritual, wicked energy, especially in today's day and age. And it's manifesting through society, through people playing their roles in the manufactured gender war, which is really coming from a dark, anti-human place, a dark spiritual place. So there are many changes that we've seen within society that seem to dovetail along these scientific admissions of major changes taking place in our universe. NASA, years ago, announced their discovery of the holes in the Earth's magnetic field. They were confirmed by the European Space Agency. This was done years ago. By the way, these are holes that are like invisible. They have a hard time finding them. They open and close and change and go to a different spot. This is that's the wild card stuff as to, a situation that could allow a certain amount of solar plasma, solar radiation to come in through the Earth's magnetic field and create just enough havoc for massive power outages and failures across the planet. It's all very possible, but what could some of that stuff be doing to human beings for the better, or we could say for the worse? What part is some of that playing in evolution, and what part is some of that playing in full-on demonic possession? This sun that is shining down on me this morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning, there are many forms of life that need that sun to live. Not all those forms of life are necessarily what we would call the most peaceful or loving, honorable or honest. Some of those forms of life that get their life from the sun take life from others. Those forms of life are both on this planet and elsewhere. So not all things that come about from the sun itself are what we would describe to be enlightened, holy. Some would prefer to use the word ascended, which has become a real buzzword. I steer away from ascended or ascension because of all the disinformation today in the New Age movement and the actions of those that steer constantly towards those terms. And oftentimes we see the externalization of responsibility in today's spiritual movements. We see a lot of, this brings us back to the linearists. We see people still, expecting and predicting and telling, which is lying, others that all these things are going to shift by a certain point in time, certain negative entities will be removed from the planet. It's like some linear trajectory. And in reality, what I'm feeling is a cycle. And mankind goes through cycles where in certain parts of the planet, certain dense population cities, it looks like a lunatic asylum. The women look crazy, the men look crazy, the women look sick, the men look sick. There is, an air of greed in the air, of lust, of perversion, of hate of the other, of hate of thyself. There is warring within the families. Things are in disarray. We're in a cycle of time, and we're in an epoch of mankind that is struggling with certain things, socially, politically, spiritually. And what we're going through in our world, in our lives, what you're seeing geopolitically is a result of something else somewhere else. We're mirroring that reality, but many of us have been duped into believing that this is the ultimate reality, where nothing further could be from the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth. Well, we see a fascination with the zombie apocalypse in pop culture. We see a fascination with horror films. We see that there is something in the collective psyche of mankind that's able to interpret certain potential possibilities. We see movies like Jupiter Ascending, I believe, which I've heard about the movie and the plot, but I haven't seen it myself. There are movies like They Live. Of course, I did a YouTube video with a guy named Ollie, and we were going over different allegories in Hollywood. The Terminator films, RoboCop, Conan the Barbarian with the shapeshifter scene, you know, the snake people symbolism, embedding themselves in royalty and controlling mankind. This was the arch nemesis of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Conan the Barbarian and Destroyer. You know, it's in Hollywood, it's in the psyche, it's in the literature, it's in the history of mankind. Separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, mankind has written about this other side, this matrix, and the parasitic forces that are feeding on the evil that man and woman do. Well, today, in this day and age of instantaneous technology, information, the internet, but technologies that really, in a great way, can take us out of our body and away from nature, instead of truly embetter our lives and embetter the lives of others that are suffering around this planet, technology is used instead as a weapon. And people in this day and age get in these technological flying machines to kill and destroy people they've never met in other countries. And no one's connecting the dots with troops coming back after killing and other negative things that have happened in this country even before 9/11, just dealing with the colonization of this country, what was done to the Native Americans. You know, they would hang them by their genitalia and skins, both male and female. Can you imagine being a male or female, part of a tribe or a group of conquerors that are actually able to sit down, have a steak, you know, have a little wine while people are actually being hung around you? You don't think that brings a little bit of evil to the land that perhaps we're standing on? I've always felt those spirits in the rural aspects of parts of Colorado, parts of Oregon rather, to correct myself, but I can feel it here too. Or one can feel the history of bloodshed in the air from the past. And what I've been able to determine and see feel is that some of these places in nature that I visited, ironically, where there's been a lot of massacres of Native Americans and people imprisoned, the location I'm at including many of the other locations that you've seen me at, they've all been like these historic sites, actually, of a bunch of Indian tribes just being slaughtered. And for some reason, in my travels, without even knowing that these things have happened in these parts of the world, Portland included, where I was in the yurt included, many places in New Mexico included, many places here in Colorado, the place I was visiting in Idaho included, as well as the places that I visited or passed through in Utah. And I can see how when people use intoxicants and when they are greedy and angry and they do not have their spiritual center, I see how people are almost affected by evil, wicked spirits, something. Wherever it's coming from, perhaps themselves. Some could say their lower selves. I've seen how in certain environments where people bring certain energies and they don't respect the land that they're on and they don't remember those that came before them, I see bad luck fall upon them, while others that have respect for the land, have respect for the spirits, and want to contribute something positive to this planet, they may have a different experience in certain places on the planet where certain historical things have taken place. Ultimately, mankind is suffering now, and a certain percentage of the human population is afflicted by this, what seems to be this global possession, which is not so much outside of themselves, but something from inside themselves. I am not in this video trying to externalize any blame whatsoever. That's what some people interpret when they hear people talk about the potential that there's something far greater taking place within the collective psyche of mankind. This isn't about relinquishing sovereignty or responsibility. It is absolutely all about taking back responsibility, and being accountable for one's actions. There are a lot of fools out there in this day and age that don't understand that when you go and you use pollutants in your body, or when you put them in the ground and you do harm to others, it does come back to you. Now, I would say that there are certain people out there in this world that are doing well right now in the war business, and there are certain people that seem to be doing well that are serving that system, that are earning a paycheck, that have their health, that have their complexion, that have their tits, that have their health, that have that ass. Ooh, they've got a whole array of makeup. Ooh, they've got a sports car. All these things are illusionary forms of wealth. And many of these people, haven't necessarily sold their soul, but they've definitely leased out their soul. They've given away their power towards this thing in order to earn this arbitrary thing, money, materialism. So in a way, they allow themselves to be consumed by the spirit of greed, the spirit of deception, and much of the world right now has been co-opted by this artificial money system. It's contaminated relationships. It's contaminated the minds and spirits and bodies of many men and women, many women and men. And we can see a lot more of this in major cities today, where we're forced to live alongside more people than we would in a more rural existence or environment. The reason why, by the way, a lot of people allow themselves to stay stuck is because they haven't addressed their own either attachments or addictions to what the system provides. And true ascension for me, if I had to use that word, means going above those man-made systems. Someone truly on the ascension path isn't going to shut down other people because of their ideas, because of their awareness levels growing in areas that they personally may not be able to comprehend. So these are things that we need to realize, that, as I wrap up here, a very complex subject that I'll come back to later. There is a collective shift in consciousness that is taking place within the body of mankind, within the consciousness of mankind. But it's more of an invasion. It's more of an infection. There are many beautiful aspects of society and humanity that we should recognize and pay tribute to and respect that came before us. There are some very perverted spiritual teachings that are around us right now that are disrespecting the elders and the past, that are heralding the world that has become of today. And I warn thee against such thinking. And ultimately, the lives of women in the past, in many ways, were empowered, and the lives of women today are very much clipped of their feminine energy, clipped of their true essence. And I feel so bad for some of the women that have no idea what's going on in today's society, that are forced into these slave jobs, that are fully taken away from nature, that are not in a positive situation where a good man is going to be trying to court them or bring them into his life, because so many men have been conditioned to either hate women or fear women, or have been hurt by women, so they've gone their own way. It is so very important that people understand that the romantic world of man and woman has been infected, and it was not always like this. It was not always like this. In the past, the entire world is not one big story about man controlling woman. There is responsibility on the part of both men and women that need each other, that came from each other, that complete each other. We complete each other. We don't need to control each other. We don't need to dominate each other. But man and woman, collectively, on an individual level, we have to come together and start to care for each other and let go of the anger, let go of the animosity, be able to receive love, be able to give love without being afraid that somehow being loving is going to hurt us. A lot of men and women, but especially in the city, a lot of women. I've seen it firsthand, and I've shared on this channel. A lot of them have a lot of deep spiritual work to do with trust and being able to love again, because they themselves have been deeply spiritually attacked simply by being in this world. There are not enough quality teachers on this planet explaining the real predicament that we're in on this planet. There are far too many charlatans and people that are involved in boosting other people's ego, as well as lining their own pocketbooks, telling people that we have arrived, we are the ones we've been waiting for. In a way, that's true, but that was said by the Hopis. There are people that have misinterpreted that saying, and they're trying to say we are the collective shift in consciousness for the better. We are the ones to follow. Being aware of certain things is negative, and there are people that have brought in toxic thinking, superstitious thinking into their minds and have misinterpreted these lies for spiritual teachings. So we're in a day and age where there are many people that are seeking the spiritual path, but many of them have ended up in these hamster wheels, never wondering why they're finding ever not understanding why they're not becoming happy. Even though they've got the guy, they've got the car, they've got the house, or they've got the woman, they've got the stuff they thought would make them happy when they use the law of attraction to manifest it. But yet there's still an emptiness. They were able to manifest something for themselves, but yet here they are in a high-rise in downtown LA with their large New Age bookshelf about manifesting things and sitting in the lotus position, or maybe they're in Portland and they're looking at how beautiful they are with their expensive creams and, all organic moistures, but yet there's something missing in their lives, in their relationships, and in their soul. And that's something that's missing, can never be replaced by something materialistic or the perfect mate in your bed, on top of you or underneath you. It just doesn't work that way. I'm going to close here. We have work to do on this planet. And a lot of that work has to do with shining the light on some of these creatures that are taking our world by storm. Because some of us picked this mission. Some of us were born to do what we're doing. And that is to say and do the right things that can help contribute to a better world, instead of assuming that we can just take the way out and party like it's 1999. I'm Alex Ansary. This has been a conversation about spiritual entities that have been attacking the consciousness of humanity, and reminding everyone, of course, that basic human love and affection is the ultimate antidote for the spiritual sickness over mankind. I'm on I-25 heading south, and I'm going to be filming something coming up called Raton Pass as we cross over into New Mexico. I'm going to be doing some hiking today. Pretty epic rock formations, as well as the landscape. Okay, we're off the freeway now, and we're working our way to the state park. I feel like I'm a tourist or something. Wild human on the loose without a GPS bracelet. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. Okay, Sugarite Canyon State Park. That's where we are now. It's going to be back in New Mexico, though. Been too long. I got to see more of New Mexico.
On Instagram, there's an account called Poe, the Dog's Big Adventure. Poe is spelled P-O-H. It's about a 15-year-old.
All right. Got parked and looking at the first trail. The transport of coal is a pretty big deal to the history of this area. This area has seen a lot more rain than it's normally used to seeing this time of year. So things are greener. Not just in Colorado, but here in New Mexico, a lot greener. Coal miners had themselves a community oven. This is it. The trail has now become a little more rugged. These are juniper berries that are on this tree. I'm gonna see if I can pull a few of them off here. A wild yucca plant, also good for housing, for clothing, for other uses. This area was hit pretty hard by some fires back in 2011. So there's a little bit of scarring here to the landscape. So I guess there's coal everywhere. Dark as a dungeon. Well, here we are. I guess this is the dungeon, or what was the dungeon, or above it. Okay, we have now made it to Swastika Mine. Okay, here we are. Definitely feels like this is a shelter, though, or a structure of some type. I mean, obviously, made out of stone. It'd be nice to kind of have a structure made out of stone. Maybe combination above ground, underground, stone home. Solar power off the grid. Passive solar, heated indoor greenhouse. And there is a steep road. Cactus growing out of a rock. Now this caught my attention and I picked it up, thought I would take it for an art project. It's like an alien head or something, like some of the H.R. Geiger, some of the aliens. Like, I could see this being painted different things, being maybe mounted on a totem, and being featured at an art show somewhere. What do you think? Ah! Now there's some markings in this rock here. Could be a fossil, I'm not sure. But I can feel the imprint. Yeah, there's something to that. And here we have mankind carving into nature. Another one of mankind's beautiful dams. Although I haven't seen anything quite like this before. That's definitely a sight to see. Okay, and now we're we're filming this area where there's quite a bit of fishing going on today. Quite a bit. And I hope you enjoyed Outside the Box, edition 350 at the moment of recording and editing today. It's June 3rd, 2015. You can email me, alex_ansary@hotmail.com. Find me online, Facebook, also YouTube, youtube.com/AlexAnsary. After the OTBTV series ends on Portland Community Media, for those of you that are online, you can follow me there. We'll see you then. Take care.